You ever noticed how some people could win the lottery? Okay, maybe not the lottery, but something really good, and still casually mention it like they just bought oat milk? You ask, so what's new? They shrug, well, nothing much. Meanwhile, they just got a promotion, or finished a huge personal project, or hit a goal they've been quietly working toward for years, and you only find out later, accidentally, from someone else. You're standing there thinking, wait, why didn't you tell me? Were they being humble, secretive, afraid of jinxing it? Or did they just not feel like sharing? If that sounds familiar, maybe it's you. Maybe you downplay your wins, change the subject, keep good news folded neatly in your pocket like a private note. And here's the thing, people who rarely share good news aren't all the same. Some aren't shy, some aren't modest in the traditional sense, and some actually feel more comfortable carrying joy quietly than putting it on display. There's a psychology behind this, a quiet one, and it says a lot about how someone experiences success, safety, and attention. Let's talk about what's really going on. There's one type of person who doesn't share good news because they've learned that happiness can attract pressure. You know the moment. You tell someone something good, and suddenly it comes with expectations. So what's next? Now you have to keep this up. Wow, must be nice. The joy shrinks. The moment turns into a performance review. For this person, sharing good news doesn't feel like celebration. It feels like opening a door to scrutiny. Their mind has learned, consciously or not, that keeping things quiet keeps them manageable. Psychologically, this often comes from environments where success was quickly followed by comparison, judgment, or raised standards. So the brain does what it does best. It adapts. If you relate to this, you might notice that you enjoy your wins most when no one's watching. Not because you don't care, but because you care deeply and you don't want the feeling altered. Then there's another type, the private satisfier. These are people who don't need external validation to feel something is real. Their sense of accomplishment is internal, personal, almost sacred. They finish something meaningful and sit with it. They let it land. They don't rush to announce it. Not because they're hiding, but because sharing too early feels like diluting the experience. Psychologically, this reflects a strong internal reward system. Their brain registers fulfillment without needing applause. In fact, applause can sometimes feel distracting or even intrusive. If this is you, you might feel a strange discomfort when people make a big deal out of your success. Like, can we not turn this into a thing? You're not being ungrateful. You're just oriented inward. Then there's the person who learned early on that good news doesn't always land safely. Maybe when they shared excitement, it was met with dismissal. Oh, that's nice. Or worse, envy, sarcasm, or subtle resentment. So eventually, they stopped offering those moments up. This isn't bitterness, it's protection. Psychologically, this is about emotional risk assessment. The brain keeps score. If sharing joy led to discomfort before, it adjusts behavior to avoid repeating the experience. If this resonates, you might notice that you share bad news more easily than good. Complaints feel safer than pride. Vulnerability feels more acceptable than happiness. It's not because you enjoy negativity, it's because positivity once felt exposed. Another type is the anticipatory minimizer. This person downplays good news before anyone else can. They say things like, "It's not a big deal. I mean, it could change. We'll see how it goes." They're managing expectations in advance. Psychologically, this often comes from a fear of reversal. If you don't fully claim the good thing, it won't hurt as much if it disappears. It's a way of staying emotionally balanced, never too high, never too low.
If you do this, you might feel uneasy when people get excited for you, like they're lifting you higher than you're ready to stand. So you keep your joy modest, portable, easy to put down. Then there's the person who associates sharing good news with self-exposure. For them, talking about success feels like talking about identity, and identity feels personal. They don't want to be known for their achievements, they want to be known for who they are. Sharing good news feels like inviting people to define them too quickly. Psychologically, this shows up in people with layered self-concepts. They're still becoming, still integrating. They don't want one moment to represent the whole story. If this is you, you might feel an urge to change the subject when praise lingers too long. Not because you dislike it, but because it freezes you in place. And here's the part that often gets misunderstood. People who rarely share good news aren't ungrateful, they aren't joyless, and they aren't trying to be mysterious. Often they experience happiness as something quiet, internal, and easily disrupted. Sharing isn't neutral for them. It changes the experience. It adds weight, attention, interpretation. Some people expand under attention, others contract, and neither is wrong. The problem starts when silence is mistaken for sadness, when privacy is mistaken for insecurity, when restraint is mistaken for lack of pride. Feeling protective of your good news doesn't mean you don't value it. It means you value it enough to guard it. So the real question isn't, why don't I share good things? It's, what happens inside me when I do? Do you feel pressure, distance, a subtle loss of ownership? Or do you feel relief, connection, and amplification? Which type did you recognize yourself in? Maybe more than one. Most people are. And if this kind of quiet psychology resonates, if you're drawn to understanding the patterns behind what people don't say as much as what they do, then you're in the right place. We explore the inner logic of human behavior, not to label it, not to fix it, but to make it feel a little more understandable. If you want more reflections like this, consider subscribing. And if you feel like sharing, ironically, tell me in the comments, what's something good you kept to yourself and why? Sometimes the things we don't announce say the most about how we protect what matters.